There are 3 reframes that I've used consistently to outsell 99% of other wholesalers. And today, I'm going to be teaching you exactly what those reframes are and how you can implement them into your sales process so that way you have a huge leg up over your competition. If you're new to this channel, all we do is we teach you sales lessons to help you scale your wholesaling or real estate investment business to $100,000 per month. And we also have leadership techniques and other things that you will need to be able to run a multiple 7-figure wholesaling or real estate organization. And if you're already subscribed, welcome back. If you implement just a few of these techniques, you will crush everybody else. So the first thing you need to understand is what a reframe actually is. All it is a sales technique that gets someone out of the mindset that doesn't lead towards a close and into the mindset that does. Simple put, that's what a reframe is. And so the first reframe I'm going to be talking about is money versus result. Now, think about the way that your sellers enter into the first conversation they have with you. A lot of times they're thinking, I have to get this price. And if I don't get this price, I'm just going to stay here. Now, the problem with that way of thinking is, one, most of the time you can't meet the seller's expectations on price. And two, a lot of times it's not actually what serves them. Let me give you an example of that. Let's say that you have a seller that's living in a dangerous neighborhood. Her kids are in danger, or his kids are in danger. They don't feel comfortable. They're not able to walk their dogs at night. They're in a really bad situation. But they say something like, however, I'm not going to sell until I get the highest price, until I get XYZ price. Well, now you have to think, are you actually serving them if they cannot break through that mindset? They cannot break through that belief. No, what they're going to do is they're going to stay there because they think the property is worth more, and they're going to end up putting their family in a dangerous situation. You and I both know that's not what's best for them. Now, in order to start the process of this reframe, I need to get 2 things. I need to get really clear on what problems they're dealing with. If you haven't seen how to do that, I have tons of video trainings on this channel where I walk through exactly how to get the seller's true problems and how to probe on them so that way they start feeling them as well. Once I have that, then I have to get their future state. What exactly are they trying to accomplish? Now, let's say that I'm talking to this seller and I'm talking about why the neighborhood's dangerous and how it's making them feel knowing that they're in a neighborhood that's not safe. And then I talk to them a little bit about where they want to go. And I get really clear on what that future state is, what their ideal scenario looks like, what exact type of house they want, what type of neighborhood they want. It's gated. Their kids are able to ride their bikes around outside. The wife's able to walk the dog at night. You know, how they feel once they're in that new secure situation. And once I get them to go in detail about both of those things. Now, once I get all of that, the reframe would sound like this. Man, Bill, it sounds like after going through everything that you're trying to accomplish, the most important thing in your life right now is not money. It's making sure that you feel like your family is safe. Now I'm going to break down exactly what we just did. So I get their problem impact of what they are dealing with. I get their future state of what they are after. And if they keep saying things like, yeah, but I'm not going to change this unless I get this price, I'm going to get them to feel exactly what those pain points are, exactly how exciting their future would be. And once I do that, I say, it sounds like the most important thing for you is not the money at this point in your life. It sounds like the most important thing for you is your kids' safety. Now, anybody in their right mind would say, yes, that's right to that. Everybody would prioritize their kids' safety over a couple $1,000, right? Or tens of thousands of dollars. And so this is applicable across any different type of seller. Let's say that the seller is really not feeling comfortable with where they live and they want to get into a retirement community so they don't have to keep dealing with all the maintenance. So I would say, man, it sounds like at this point in your life, money is not the most important thing. It sounds like the most important thing for you is getting your time back so that way you can enjoy what you have left of your retirement. And that is a reframe. That reframe is called money versus result. Now, the second that I get them to say yes to that, now they're thinking, well, yeah, money doesn't really do me any good if I'm stuck in this house that I hate, right? Money doesn't do me any good if I feel like my family is in danger all the time. And this one simple technique gets people off the price and gets them into the result. Now, the second reframe that you need to be able to master is the highest number is not the best. That's what I call it. Highest number is not the best. And so if you think about what most sellers think about the selling process. They think I'm going to go get a bunch of different bids or a bunch of different quotes, a bunch of different offers, and I'm going to pick the highest number because why wouldn't I do that? Why would I pick the lowest number? And the problem with that, you and I both know, you guys, hopefully YouTube is serving my videos to the right audience, and you guys actually do deals and understand that there's a bunch of knuckleheads that have no idea what they're actually doing. And so most of the time, the highest offer is the worst offer because the person that's willing to put the highest number on a piece of paper, they usually don't really know how to comp their properties. They're inexperienced and they're offering a number that they think is a good deal for an investor, but they have absolutely no idea because they're not really doing a ton of deals. And so what ends up happening to the seller is they end up going with that offer. And then 30 days goes by and the wholesaler didn't close. And then they ask for an extension. And then they put a memo on the property so that the seller can't sell the property after that. And it ends up causing a ton of headache and a ton of stress for the seller. If you don't know, now you know. That happens all the time. And so whenever I'm up against a bunch of other offers, I never think, oh man, I need to beat these other offers. I always think the highest offer is probably going to be the one that puts the seller in the most stressful situation. And they don't know that. And I obviously can't just say it. And so here's what I do. I say, so let's say that all the offers came back at relatively the same price. How would you then decide on who to work with? They go, well, I guess it's the person that could do this or the person that could do that or the person that I can trust. And I go, yeah, those are all good things. Now, obviously, you're going to see this, right? You're going to see that all of the legitimate offers are going to come in around the same price, right? Maybe $10,000, $15,000 difference. But then you're going to get this offer out of nowhere. This offer that's $20,000, $30,000 higher than everyone else. But usually when you get those offers, you typically just have this gut feeling that they're not going to be able to close. Now, at that point, would you just take a gamble with whoever puts the highest number on a piece of paper? Or would you want to work with a company that you can actually trust? I'm going to go, no, I'm not just going to take a gamble with whoever puts the highest offer. I need this to actually close. And so once I get them to that point, all I finish that with is, so it sounds like the highest number isn't the most important thing. It sounds like the most important thing is working with someone that you actually trust. And then they say, yes, that's the most important thing. Now, once I do that, I do go into some other things about how to actually build that trust. And I also figure out what they're looking for. So that way they know that they can trust me. If you want more training on things like that, we have our advanced group where we do 5 sales calls per week. You can role play with us. We can listen to your calls. We have an objection handling training and an Ask Me Anything where I'll help you close your most likely to close deal inside of your pipeline. Every single Monday we do that. And so I'll drop a link inside of the description. We also have one of the top wholesalers in the country, built a business up to $2 million a month that coaches inside of our group for the business owners that are looking to scale. We have dispo calls, marketing calls, and much, much more. So you guys can check that out in the description below. We also have tons of testimonials and case studies from our students that you can look at as well. Without further ado, let's get back into the video. So this reframe is a phenomenal objection prevention technique because most of the sellers that you talk to in competitive markets are going to talk to other companies as well. And if they go with the highest price, usually they end up in a really bad situation. And so I never want to compete on price. I want to compete on sales ability. And that's something that I'm very comfortable in doing. So to break down the process again, all I'm going to do is ask them if the offers came back the same, how would they decide on who to work with? They're going to tell me what's important to them. Once they do that, I'm going to tell them the reality that someone is going to offer a higher number on a piece of paper. But what happens if they don't have all of those things? What happens if they don't trust them? Are they going to take a gamble with them? They're obviously going to say no to that. I'm not going to take a gamble with them. And then I'm going to hit them with the reframe. It sounds like getting the highest offer is not the most important thing for you. It sounds like the most important thing for you is working with a company that you can trust. And then you win the deal on trust, not on price. Now, the last reframe that we're going to be talking about is the burn the boats reframe. The burn the boats reframe absolutely crushes when you have a seller that is nervous to sign the agreement or nervous to start another chapter of their life. Now, we get sellers all the time that are extremely distressed, but they've been in that situation for so long that it's just difficult for them to move past it. They're in this kind of loop, almost like they're addicted to the bad situation that they're in. And so the burn the boats reframe gets them out of that. And it goes like this. Let's say we're talking to a seller and the seller's saying, hey, this all looks good, but I don't know if I can do this right now. Let's just keep pushing this off later. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. They hit you with a bunch of objections, right? Which typically you understand is fear. I will call out, say, hey, is it fair to say that you're just a little bit nervous right now? They're like, yeah, I mean, that's fair to say. It's just a lot. Then I'll ask, would you believe me if I told you that that is completely normal? So I'm going to normalize their fear. Once they say, yeah, I guess it would make sense. Yeah, we buy houses from people and we help people start new chapters of their life. And so would it help if I share with you exactly how we are able to help sellers kind of get past that fear so that way you can put yourself in a better position? Seller's always going to say yes to that. And then I change my tonality a little bit. Hey, Miss Sally, are you familiar with Tony Robbins? No, I'm not. Who is that? He's a motivational speaker. So he always talks about this thing called burn the boats. Have you ever heard the burn the boats? No, I haven't heard the burn the boats. Okay, no worries. Let me explain it. So actually, it comes from all Viking times when Vikings used to take land. They used to take the land and then they would burn the boats behind them. Now, why do you think they did that, Miss Sally? I don't know. So there was no turning back. Yeah, kind of. That's what most people say. But it's really that what they wanted was in front of them and it wasn't behind them. So I'm going to ask you, Miss Sally, are you 100% sure that you want to start this next chapter of your life, that you want to put this all behind you so that way you can get to X, Y, and Z? Yeah, no, I am 100% sure. And so really the question is, what do you feel like you need to do to burn those metaphorical boats? So that way, when you go to bed tonight, you know that you've put yourself in the absolute best possible position to start this next chapter of your life. You know what, John? You're right. I got to do it. And people love analogies. So the burn the boats analogy, what it gets them to do is not just burn the boat so that way they can't turn back. It gets them to focus on the fact that their result is not behind them. It's in front of them. And if they want to get to that result, they do have to make a commitment today to change. And so those are 3 reframes that you guys can use inside of your sales processes to be able to objection handle, to be able to prevent objections, and to be able to win deals even when you are not the highest price. So I hope this helps. We do new videos like this every single week. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.